Today in Across the Fence, the wisdom of medicinal herbs and the business savvy to make it work. We'll talk to the authors of a new book about growing organic medicinal herb crops and the business sense to go from sideline to full-time. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Keith Silva in for Judy Simpson. It's only been within the last 200 years that modern medicine has become removed from its herbal roots. The term alternative medicine, which has become synonymous with herbal medicine, is a bit of a misnomer since most of what we think of as medicine is derived from nature. New interest in tried and true standbys like elderberry and echinacea and garlic and ginkgo have many thinking that maybe there was something to grandma's home remedies, especially when it comes to prevention. Choices for consumers create opportunities for entrepreneurs. Growing medicinal herbs can produce a profitable income for farmers, not to mention increase soil health, promote biodiversity of the landscape. Melanie and Jeff Carter own and operate Zach Woods Herb Farm in Hyde Park. They are the largest growers of medicinal herbs in Vermont and one of the largest in New England. Farmers and herbalists alike, you can now add authors to your resume. Welcome to Across the Fence.
Thanks for having us, Keith.
Before we talk about the new book, how did each of you develop an interest in medicinal herbal medicines?
Thanks for having us, Keith. I was very fortunate as a young girl. I was raised by Rosemary Gladstar at Sage Mountain Herbal Retreat Center in Orange, Vermont. And so Rosemary, I don't know if you know her, but she is a prominent herbalist and author about herbal practices and herbalism. And we fondly know her as the fairy godmother of Western herbal tradition. So I got very lucky and was steeped growing up in herbs. We had gardens, we drank tea, we ate them, we had an herbal school. And then when I was around 16, we started an herbal product business with Rosemary, and she helped Jeff and I learn how to make products. And then at some point, after about 10 years, we decided we no longer wanted to be in the apothecary, but wanted to be in the field growing medicinal herbs. And so we segued to that. And so I knew from a young age, loved plants, but Rosemary really helped me to develop that understanding and deepen my commitment to the plants.
How about you, Jeff?
Like Melanie, most people I know who are passionate about plants and herbal medicine kind of realize that at a really young age. Myself, on the other hand, it took me a while. It wasn't until my late teens when I met Melanie, and Melanie invited me to Sage Mountain to meet Rosemary. And we spent a day walking in Rosemary's herb gardens. And what I saw was not only that the plants were beautiful that she was showing me and that they smelled amazing, but she was also describing these incredible healing attributes that I had no idea existed. And so it really clicked for me right then and there that this was something that I really wanted to learn more about. And so I devoured the knowledge. I read all I could about herbal medicine. I spent a year apprenticing with Rosemary and living at Sage Mountain, and eventually came to partner in the business of herbs with Melanie.
That's wonderful. So we have Rosemary to thank a lot
Rosemary.
for being here. When did you think, there's so much time as a farmer, we have so much time, so much free time, why don't we write a book?
Many leisure hours.
Right.
That's a good question, one I've asked myself frequently. Yeah. So, in the first few years of farming, we were, acquiring our own knowledge. And after a few years, we started sharing that knowledge with others. We taught workshops and we led tours and classes. And frequently at the end of our discussions, people would ask us for resources and ask us to recommend books that could help guide them in their own ventures. And there was a real dearth of real practical information. There was some really good sort of small-scale cottage garden herb books, and some larger, commercial scale, really large-scale, more automated style books.
Right.
But there was a lack of a real comprehensive, thorough book dedicated to more small to mid-scale commercial herb farming. And people kept telling us that we needed to be the ones to write that book. And so after years, we finally listened. And and what we wrote was a really comprehensive, detailed technical manual, but also interwoven within this book is a lot of personal narrative describing our own story and our challenges and rewards along the way. Writing the book was it became a daunting task, but we figured with the two of us, we could team up on it and run the farm and write the book at the same time. And needless to say, it was challenging, but very rewarding at the same time.
That's fabulous. You used the word organic in the title. Is growing these crops using organic practices, not synthetic fertilizers or pesticides and things like that, important to you as farmers or as herbalists?
It's an excellent question, Keith. We feel that organic practices are essential. They're non-negotiable for us, both as farmers, as parents, and as herbalists. We grow medicinal herbs, herbs that are used as medicine. They're taken in high concentrations over a long period of time. So we have a commitment and a responsibility as farmers of medicine to grow things that are robust, healthy, vibrant, full of nutrition. And we feel organic practices really do that. They create a sustainable model. Whereas conventional methods and methodologies, often you have pesticide residues, possible toxins, the nutrients are leached from the plants, and that doesn't make good medicine. So we say organic practices, sustainable practices, taking care of the environment. If you check us out, you'll see our mission statement. There's also a really strong focus on stewardship and wanting to take care of the land and to safeguard farming, this tradition of farming for future generations. If we don't build the soil and we don't keep the earth healthy, there won't be much there for our future generations of medicinal herb farmers. And so that's important to us.
Right. One of the things about the book is it's also, there's the business of herbs and then there's the herb business. What have you learned running this farm business?
Well, we've learned a lot. It's been a very, very
Really?
detailed education. One of the first things that, it's pretty obvious, if you're a farmer, you have to be able to grow crops. You have to be able to produce the herbs in large volume. But growing the herbs are not enough. You have to have more than that. And I think after the first few years, we started to get just productivity is not the only game in town, that we needed to really look at profitability, sustainability. We needed to start collecting data. We needed to learn to evaluate the data and then reevaluate it as different scenarios came up. We needed to look for innovations. And so all of these things started to really percolate on the farm, and we had the good fortune of working with some mentors in the industry, seasoned farmers and business people that said, why don't you start really mining this data for ways that you can farm smarter, not just harder. And so that was something that we spent a lot of time with in the last few years and are developing ways to really look at growing what we love, because that's a non-negotiable for us, especially me who loves every plant, but also growing what keeps a roof over our head, it keeps us in business, and is sustainable for our farm.
It's one of the things we talk about in Extension an awful lot. A farm is a business first. Growing things is important, but if you can't afford to grow the things, then that's not good. So what comes first, planting crops or a business plan?
The short answer is both, actually. While it can be challenging for beginning farmers to establish a business plan while they're also trying to develop their production techniques and enter new and innovative markets, it's really important to start out with that roadmap. And it can also be challenging without having a business plan to secure loans and establish credit. So the two need to go hand in hand.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't always practiced what I preach. It took us 13. It took us 13 years to develop our own real business plan. I had a business plan for those 13 years, and that was I wanted to grow more crops and make more money.
Yep.
But we found out about the Vermont Farm Viability Enhancement Program, and we entered that program and developed a formal business plan, and that was super helpful and effective at helping us really analyze our business thoroughly and make some changes that are bringing us into a real sustainable and profitable future.
Just getting those plans on paper, writing something down and saying, this is what we're going to do. I'm not going to just keep it in my head and just sort of say, yeah, we've got that, but getting it on paper.
Correct.
Well, let me move now. A business plan helps answer the question, will it work? The same goes for the efficacy of herbal medicine. When I visited Jeff and Melody on their farm not too long ago, we talked about the uncertainty and the value of herbs and the importance of educating consumers. Much of the skepticism about herbal medicine stems from both fluctuations in the quality of the plant and a lack of consumer education.
Herbs are very popular, and it's a huge industry now, and there's a lot of money to be made in this herbal industry, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. I think in some ways, if it's done wisely, it supports a lot of wonderful growers and people that make products and people that are doing classes. So on this side, fabulous, and most importantly, it's getting people well and having them connect to nature. On the other side, there's a lot of things that are just being marketed that aren't really helpful and can sometimes be potentially harmful to people and just cost a lot of money. And so that's where I feel like people just need to be well educated. If you pull something just right off the grocery store shelf, it's like anything. Where was it grown? How was it harvested? How much echinacea is actually in there?
As an herbalist, Melanie is asked all the time what someone should take to prevent an illness or some discomfort. Her homespun wisdom is simple. Listen to your mother and your grandmother.
One of the things that people that grew up in the last generation, they used to be much more connected to the land, and so they knew to make spring tonics of dandelion leaf. They would harvest those and just eat them as their salad greens. And they also knew to pick elderberry or to make switchel, you know, and different things that were just traditional ways of using plants and ways to eat your medicine. They just did that. And so now it's really become with studies and classes and become very polished. But you go back to the old timers and they know.
If you'd like to see more of that story on Zach Wood's Herb Farm, visit our YouTube page and search for Zach Wood's Herb Farm. That story is also on our Facebook page as well. But don't go and do that yet. Melanie and Jeff are here, and we're talking about their new book, The Organic Medicinal Herb Farmer. It's published by Chelsea Green Publishing, and it's going to be available everywhere in April, but pre-order now. Very important for pre-orders. Melanie, in the clip you talked about prevention, common colds, aches and pains. So Grandma was right, in other words.
Absolutely. Grandma and Grandpa were right.
right.
In the tradition that we learned and the ones that our grandparents really embraced, it was about building wellness, having a healthful lifestyle, and really working in a way that creates sustained energy and wellness. And you can't do that with a magic bullet approach. You can't take one pill or one tincture or have one procedure and think that that's going to somehow keep you healthy. It needs to be the choices that you make every day. It's the lifestyle. It's what did you eat for breakfast? What are you drinking throughout your day? When you're stressed out, do you turn to an herbal bath and a beautiful bouquet of flowers, or do you look for a pill of some sort to alleviate the stress? So those are things that we're really trying to shift people's awareness and say, yeah, eat your medicine, drink your teas, go pick flowers and run in the field. And if the snow ever melts, collect your dandelion greens and eat these spring tonics to bring wellness. That doesn't mean that herbs aren't just absolutely fantastic for deep illness or acute needs, but there needs to be a different approach. And so for the common person, every day with your families, your children, to use herbs in your daily approach.
And I think we want to dispel any stereotypes here. I've done this story with you folks before, so I know a little bit about this, which is, you know, in an acute situation, broken leg, Jeff, you're not taking some echinacea and just, rub some echinacea on that and take care of it.
Exactly. I can speak directly from experience. I broke my leg a few years ago skiing, and the first order of business was definitely not sitting down for a cup of hot steaming chamomile tea.
Right.
I went to the hospital, and thankfully a trained physician using modern technological medicine was able to diagnose my broken tibia, perform surgery, and I was back on my feet in short order, skiing and farming again. But when I left the hospital and I went home to heal, I turned to the plants, and I made teas that helped to nourish my body, bring healing to the damaged tissues. I used arnica topically to reduce pain and inflammation. I made comfrey soaks and compresses, and was able to utilize both approaches very effectively. I would definitely, we are both proponents of an integrative approach to medicine. Yeah, having lots of useful tools and using them in conjunction to build a strong framework. Modern technological medicine for more acute and chronic situations, and plant medicine for a more preventative and health building approach.
We've got about a minute and a half left, and that's one of the things I did want to stress, whether it's someone who picks up this book or is looking for a farm, there's all sorts of options out there. Use them all. I hope people watch the story that we did, because that's one of the things you said, Melanie, is I want it all. I want the medicine, and I want that. If people are interested in the book, how can they pre-order it now or get in touch with you folks?
Well, this has been a wonderful opportunity writing the book and getting more savvy in the computer age. So we now have a Facebook page that's up and running, and a website. It's zachwoodsherbs.com, and people are welcome to call us. It's sometimes hard to reach us because we're usually in the field, but the website, email, we love to have people come by the farm as well.
And if people are out there nearby, your herbs are on the shelves in a lot of local markets and things like that throughout Vermont.
Correct.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you very much, and good luck with the book. And I want to thank everyone here at WCAX for making this program possible. And as always, thank you for stopping by Across the Fence.